Broken moments, faithful God. What if the pain you're feeling is the very thing God is using to bring you closer to Him? Maybe the emptiness in your heart is meant to lead you to the peace you've been searching for. May 28, 1988, I was born in the Philippines. Not into wealth, but into poverty. I didn't even meet my mom until I was 7. My grandma raised me, and for the longest time, I thought she was my mother. Then one day, my real mom showed up, in a picture and in my life, telling me she was my real mom. I don't even have the words, just this quiet confusion, sitting heavy in my chest, trying to make sense of what's happening. She had been working far away the whole time, just to support me. My life was simple, a roof over my head, food 3 times a day, and that was it. But at 7 years old, I started to notice a difference at school. I saw the kids who had more nice clothes, new things, and then there was me, just trying to get by with what I had. I grew up wearing cheap second-hand clothes, nothing special, just whatever we could afford and whatever fit within our tight budget. If my uniform got ripped or damaged, my grandma always found a way to fix it. Most of the time, she would throw it back together by hand. And if there were holes in my school skirt, she'd cover them with 2 or 3 patches just to make the uniform last a little longer. And I remember this so clearly. I had to take really good care of my shoes and hope they'd last another year because getting a new pair wasn't something we could easily afford. There were moments I gave my grandma a hard time. I'd say, "Why does my life suck? Why can't I have what they have?" I even told her several times, I want to know what problems rich people have, because my own struggles already felt like too much to carry. Afterward, she looked at me and said, "You might not have everything you want in life, but never forget, you already have something far more important. You are deeply loved by God, by me, and by this family." When I hear that, I'm not even sure what to think. I didn't even know what I was feeling. Like, who wants to hear that? All I knew in that moment was this: being poor hurt more than I could put into words. Every summer, I would stay with some of our relatives for what people would call a vacation. But for me, it never really felt like one because I had to work while staying with them in return for letting me be there. If I was lucky, they'll give me a little more money before I went home, and I'd quietly put it in my piggy bank, hoping it would help somehow later on. Fast forward, I became active in church, and I remember it like it was yesterday, a Sunday morning, sitting in church, listening as a pastor preached from books of Philippians 4, verse 12 to 13. It says, "I know what it is to be in need. I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." When I hear that, it hit me hard. It brought me right back to the conversation that I had with my grandma. And in that moment, I felt like God met me exactly where I was. Like He was saying, "I see you. I know what you lived through, and what you have or don't have doesn't define you. The material things weren't the point. That I needed to shift my focus back to Him." And from that moment on, I held into this truth. It's not about having everything. It's about staying steady when I have nothing, and not losing myself when I have more. So I started practicing gratitude every chance I get, even for the smallest things. I started something simple. The moment my eyes open, I pray. Before the noise of the day, before the weight of everything hits me, I reach for God. I sit with Him daily, not out of routine alone, but out of a deep need to know Him more, to feel Him more. Here's the thing: when you get to know God, you just can't get enough of Him. Before you know it, getting deeper and deeper with Him, just satisfying your heart and soul. It's not always perfect, but most of the time, it's the intention. Some days it's quiet, some days it's heavy, but in those moments, I'm choosing Him again and again. And slowly, something in me began to shift. The heaviness I used to carry didn't feel as crushing anymore. I found myself breathing easier, smiling without forcing it, feeling a quiet kind of peace I didn't have before. Not because everything changed, but because something inside me finally did. Suddenly, the simple conversation I once had with my grandma finally started to make sense in a way they never had before. She was right all along. Not because I never heard her words before, but because back then I wasn't truly seeing what she was trying to tell me. I was more worried about my own feeling, what is in front of me. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Tap the notification bell so you don't miss my latest video. And feel free to check out my other videos too. Now, let me take you back to the rest of my story. I thought I was searching for answers, but the truth is, I was just looking life in the wrong way. Now something in me shifted. Same life, just different lens. God loved me too. He was just waiting for me to lean on Him. He got the answer. He is the answer. I just need to seek Him more with my whole heart. Because all those material things I've been longing, they don't last. They come and go. But His promises, they stay true. I might not have everything I want, but I've come to realize I already have everything I need. In the end, I finally understood what contentment truly means. For the first time in a long while, I felt the peace of God settle deep inside my heart, quieting the emptiness, the striving, and the pain I carried for so long. Looking back now, I realize there will always be someone carrying a heavier burden than mine. And somehow, in the middle of my lowest moments, God met me there. Not when I have everything together, but when I felt empty and lost, and slowly turned my weakness into strength. It's funny how God works in our lives. Sometimes, He allows hard seasons not to break us, but to teach us that we don't have to carry every battle on our own. We don't always need to have all the answers or figure out every X and Y situation in our lives. Sometimes, all we need to do is fully trust Him. Every struggle we go through has a purpose. God allows certain moments in our lives so we can learn something out of it. Even in the pain, confusion, and uncertainty, He is still working behind the scenes. All it for our good. In the end, God will always be the answer. It all depends on how you choose to see it. Remember with Jesus, the race is not a sprint. It is a marathon. It's not the destination, it's the journey, and He is with us.